I think that by having a classroom management plan set into place, this will help with the ultimate goal of being an effective teacher. I believe that behavioral and classroom management is the most important part of teaching. Students must feel safe, comfortable, and happy to ensure that they are maximizing their learning ability. Teachers need to be consistent with their rules, and teachers and students both need to stick to them. Like Harry Wong says, the first day of your classroom, as soon as the students come in, you are setting the tone for how the rest of the school year is going to go. So if you have fun activities planned all day long, you're going to probably tend to have that tone set that that's how you want every year to be, or every day to be run. But when it comes down to it, when you want your classroom to be structured and learn, they're going to have a hard time changing. I plan to keep my students engaged in learning and help them master any lesson that I plan to teach throughout the year. My philosophy connects with my Christian views. I feel that although every student out there is different, they all deserve to be treated the same and equal. So, inclusion has become a big part in the classroom, and which I think is awesome. But obviously, as a teacher, you have to be able to connect those kids into your lesson. So whether they be gifted, ESE, or ESOL, I would take into consideration their abilities or disabilities when I'm making my lesson plans and when I'm making their accommodations for what they'll be doing throughout my class. Small groups will be used to accommodate these students. That one-on-one or the small group will really help key them in on that lesson and help them make the gains that they need to make throughout the year. To have a safe learning environment, I feel that the students need to be aware of the rules, any and all rules, and this should be done on day one and carried out throughout the entire year. Whether the rules need to be gone over every day or rehearsed by the students, practiced if it's any drills, anything. Students learn from constantly being told. Also, I would have the rules posted in my classroom. There would be no bullying or violence or student aggression. This will not be allowed at all, and the teacher needs to be ready to address it in the proper way that he or she feels fit for the situation. Bullying seems to be a big problem in schools nowadays. It's what is always talked about, and the students and the teachers need to be on the same page that that's not going to be allowed and it's not acceptable. Should the behavior continue, the teacher should not back down. I feel that the teacher needs to get either the parents or administration involved in taking care of the situation and stopping it right away. Parent communication is huge, I feel like, with being a teacher. First, parents need to feel welcomed. So at orientation, when they come for the meet and greet with the teacher, as soon as they come, they need to feel welcomed. They need to feel just like how the student would feel in their classroom. The parent needs to be aware that they're sending their student to someone that is warm and welcoming and is going to help their student make academic gains throughout the school year. I would communicate with my parents through the students' agendas. I would want my parents to sign the student's agenda every night, just so then that way I know that they saw their student's agenda. So whether they have homework, or if I'm trying to write a note to the parent, or how the student did that day. Also, I would do stamps. So there would be 3 different colors, green, yellow, and red. Green would mean that they had an awesome day. No behavior problems, stayed on task. Yellow would be for 1 or 2 off-task behaviors or misbehaving. And then red would be completely off-task all day and misbehaving. This way the parent knows how their student is doing. Also, I would want the parents to feel comfortable emailing me if they have any questions, or writing in the agenda, and I would email them back. Also, I would want to set up parent meetings every quarter. This way, the parents feel comfortable being able to come to me in person and ask me questions and talk to me about if they feel that their student is having any problems in class or anything like that. Rules are a huge, huge, huge thing in the classroom. My number 1 rule is to respect others. Respect the teacher and respect other students. That's just number 1. Like, respect makes everything flow so much easier. My next rule would be listen. Obviously, when a student is not listening, they're missing out on instruction or causing someone else to miss out on instruction. And it could be something very important. Don't speak out of turn would be my 3rd rule. Students need to raise their hands, obviously, if they want to talk. I love hearing what they all have to say. I want their input on things, but it needs to be in an orderly fashion. So raising their hand would be great. Hands to yourselves. I work in an elementary school, and it would be something that you would think that you didn't need to tell 5th graders, but surprisingly enough, you do. So hands to yourself would definitely have to be on my rules, my rule board. And stay in your seat. So I would have, ways for the students to get out of their seats, but I don't want them just up walking around the classroom at all times. And all of my rules are to benefit the students. The rules would be posted in the room, and they would all know the rules, so there wouldn't be any excuses for misbehavior. My procedures and expectations will be set in place to give the students structure and organization that they need throughout the entire year. They would know how to enter the classroom. So if I'm standing at the door greeting students as they're coming in, I want my students to be able to first greet me and then come into the classroom and know exactly what they need to do. They need to come in, get their agenda out, have it out on their desk, ready for me to come by and check it when I come in, have their pencils ready, have their backpacks put away, and everything out of their backpack that they need for the day. Because once their backpacks are hung up, they're not going back to their backpacks. So they would know exactly what to do. Next would be how to move around the classroom. So I would have a stop and go sign, and if it's on stop, that means no one can go around the room. So obviously, like if there's taking a test or I'm teaching a lesson, something, unless it's an absolute emergency. If it's on go, that doesn't mean the students can get up and just roam the classroom whenever they feel. But they would have hand signals, which would also be posted in the classroom. So for instance, if they needed a tissue, they would raise their hand and put up a number 1. And then I would tell them, yes, they can go get a tissue, or bring them a tissue. Number 2 would be to go to use the restroom. And then number 3 would be if they needed a new pencil, if their pencil broke, if it's not sharp anymore, stuff like that. This way they're not just up roaming the classroom and distracting other students while they're working. My next procedure would be how to turn in work. So instead of the students just getting up and going to the box, which I would feel would be very distracting to the other students who are still working, the students would just take their whatever they're working on. So for instance, if it's a worksheet, they'll flip it over on their desk, and they'll just pull out an AR book and start reading. This way, no one's up out of their seat, no one's moving around. Everyone can stay focused on their work. How to walk in the hallways is a big one. So I would have a secret walker. So I would just pick somebody that time that we're leaving the classroom and watch them. They don't know who I picked. And if they have met my expectations, walking quietly, hands to themselves, walking on the right, not touching the walls, then when we get back to the classroom or wherever we're going, they would receive a ticket. At the end of the week, their ticket will go into a box, and then they will be pulled out for a drawing, and they can pull a treat. And then how to get the class's attention. So if they're all talking and I want to grab their attention, I would just simply raise my hand. And once the students see me raising their hand, they will stop talking and put their hand in the air. This way I can get everyone's attention, and I'm not having to sit there and yell like, hey you guys, listen up. They're all, after that, once they've raised their hand, they're not talking and they're focused on what I'm about to say. My behavior model that I would use in my classroom would be the positive discipline model. And I feel that the positive discipline model really would benefit my classroom because it's all about being positive, and that's awesome. So you establish the respect between the students and the teacher, and the parents and administration are backing you, and you're just positive at all times. You encourage your students, not only when they're just doing something right, but like if they're trying, you're encouraging them. And it just makes everybody positive. And making the students feel welcomed and in a positive environment is definitely going to help their learning. Like, they're not going to be bummed to come to school. They're going to be so excited that they get to go and they get to walk into a positive environment. And for those hours that they're at school, they get to be happy and learn. And that this model is just, it's amazing. It's all about eye contact and body language, and again, just being positive. So it's a big plus. I made a diagram of how I would have my classroom set up. And so just to give you a little, a little way that you can see, instead of just trying to explain it, I felt that having it drawn out would be a little easier to present. So once the students come in, they would hang up their backpacks, they would check their mailboxes for any graded work, they would slip it into their agenda so they could take it home. And then they would go to their desk, which is right here. So all the students' desks will be in the middle of the room. Here's the smart board and the whiteboard. So when I'm giving instruction, all the students are looking at the board. This is my reading and meeting rug. So whenever I want the students to come together, maybe for an instruction, like if I have students that are working over here that understand, I can pull my other students that aren't understanding, that need more help, over to the meeting rug, and we can continue to go over the lesson a little further in depth, just to help them and give them that extra push. This will be a bulletin board with the students' work. Here will be my small group or instruction table, which I would rather it be like kidney shaped, but the computer doesn't make that. My storage closet, a small rug for the students to read, like if we're having free time and they feel like they want to read. There would be little bing bags, and it would just be a cute little area for them to read in, which would come with the bookshelf and their library. Here would be the teacher's desk, and right next to it would be the student computers. So again, for free time or any time that they have something to do on the computer, they will get to use these computers. So that is how I would plan to set up my classroom. Obviously, I don't know where the windows and the doors exactly would be, but just to give you an idea of my classroom. So that is my presentation. Thank you all for watching.